right, welcome back to Slip Joint Display. Today we are looking at a couple of Great Eastern Cutlery 77s from 2022, the Yankee Barlow. These are both knife number 772122. Let's get into the models. So in 2022, Great Eastern Cutlery put out the Yankee Barlow. This is number 77. These are both Northfield trims, so you are talking about, well, they're Barlows, so extended bolsters, fluted, stamped, cut swedge, long pull, mirror polished blades. Here is your tubes, so regular Northfield stuff. And we showed the Coca-Cola cap, and there's an antique yellow saw cut bone. Here's the pins. They are the same for each model. Let's get this stuff out of the way. I want to clear the deck. So, the Yankee Barlows. So, 2022, these came out. I picked them both up on release from traditional pocket knives. That year, there was two other models that were released. They were SFOs from, I believe, Collector Knives. One was Stag and one was Olive Wood. I didn't get a chance to get either one of those. But in setting up to do research for this review, I noticed that that year there was no Titty-Ute 77s that came out. I'm pretty sure both the SFOs were Northfield as well, although I'm not sure of that. But I mean, they were SFOs, so they certainly weren't released under the Titty-Ute name. In looking at Great Eastern Cutlery's website and going to release by pattern, I went to 77s, and it's interesting because on there, you know, where they show the pictures of the knives, there's only the releases from 2022 and some Washington Jacks. Now, the Washington Jacks were early release that, you know, you're talking like 10 years ago. And at a glance, everything was Northfield. So I thought to myself, is there nothing Titty-Ute? Did they not do any Titty-Ute 77s? I mean, what's going on with that? I even reached out to a fella in the community who is a heavyweight as far as collecting goes and 77s go, and he said there are Titty-Ute 77s and that the knife by release on Great Eastern Cutlery's website isn't always accurate. So I started digging deeper after talking with him, and I went to the production totals, and I went through every year and just took notes on everything I could find. Now, the first year that 77s were released was 2014, and that was 3 Titty-Ute models. All happened to be spear point. You also had a Charlie Companion released that year, and Collector Knives did an SFO. Charlie Companion did the Washington Jacks, and Collector Knives did 6 Northfield models. You also had the Blade Forums knife, which was a clip point, I believe, Stag. I'm pretty sure that Blade Forms release was a big deal that year. Pretty sure a lot of people picked it up and a lot of people loved it. And then in 2015, you had 3 Titty-Ute models come out that were all spear. And interestingly, in 2015, there was a American Chestnut Northfield clip point 77 that came out. Production total 1 piece. So 1 was made, 1 was released. That's the kind of thing that Great Eastern Cutlery used to do that they don't really do anymore. You don't see that anymore. Charlie Companion did a release that year of Washington Jacks and Washington Punch knives. I think those were all spear. And then in 2016, Collector Knives. In 2016, Great Eastern Cutlery didn't release any, but Collector Knives did an SFO of 4 models, all clip point. Same thing in 2018. And then in 2022, the long-awaited regular release of 77s, which is what these are. So, I mean, that's some history on the company releasing 77s. It's a little odd. I think it just stands to show that Great Eastern Cutlery does what they want to do. I don't think they care about what anybody else is doing, or, you know, I mean, they always have just kind of done their own thing. As far as the knives are concerned, getting back to these models, These are really nice. I mean, this really stands as what a Barlow is supposed to be. Barlow, by definition, should have a teardrop handle shape, thicker at the butt end and tapering as it makes its way down towards the blade, and that's what you've got here. This Coca-Cola is beautiful. I love the way that they cut the wood. Extended bolsters on these, and they did it really nice stamping in Northfield here, the NF. I really like that. The long pull is great. The cut swedge is beautiful. We'll go from model to model here. So here's your bone. Same deal. I think when these came out, I think this was the model where people bitched that the saw cut wasn't deep enough in the bone. You can clearly see it there, but it's not really something you can feel. I guess with a fingernail a little bit, but yeah, people weren't happy with that. Which is ironic, because if they didn't cut the bone and they put it out as smooth bone, nobody would have said a thing. I mean, I guess it was just people had an idea in their minds of what saw cut bone was supposed to be, and this didn't meet that concept, and so they got upset about it. I'm fine with it. I can dig it, whatever. But then I don't have as much invested in the saw cut bone as some folks in the community. But this model, still very good. I like the coloring, the dark with the light sticking out there. I think that looks really nice. Yeah, I think they did a good job with it. Just to have a look around the bone a little bit. See the color change at the butt. And then near the liners. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. The pull on these is good. It's not too heavy, not too light, kind of in the middle. Again, if a Barlow is supposed to be an everyman knife, an everyday knife, this kind of fits the bill. It's not breaking your nail, and it's not so light that it's lazy. Now, I will say that I have talked to folks who have older 77s, and what I have heard is it's a world of difference. If you get in the older 77s, the pull and the snap is much heavier. I would really prefer that, although I get it with these. Well, I mean, I guess it's pinchable, but you got to work for it a bit. But I could see it with a clip point being more pinchable. I don't know if Great Eastern Cutlery even considers that when they're making knives, but just saying. Almost flush at half. So, I mean, these have had pocket time. They've both been sharpened. They've both been carried. The Coca-Cola has been carried much, much more. In fact, I'm pretty sure I patinaed this blade and then cleaned it off. Not sure how heavy I let it get. The bone, much, much less. I mean, I have carried it, but not to the same extent as the Coca-Cola. When I got these, I kind of fell in love with the Coca-Cola, and I mean, this is the slip that I carried them in from traditional pocket knives. You can see the amount of pocket time that the Coca-Cola's had in that slip. Let's have a look around the knives real quick. So 2.5 or 2 3/4 cutting edge, 3-inch blade, or just under, and then 3.5 handle, something like that. All right, you've got an idea. It really does fit the bill for a pocket knife that is an everything knife, a general knife, you know, not something that's geared towards a specific use or a specialty task, but just a pocket knife that a man can pick up at the hardware store and put in his pocket and carry. That, you know, a knife that can weigh in on anything that comes his way in a day. And I think that's the idea of a Barlow. I mean, Barlows are supposed to be the working man's knife, and you know, they weren't fancy, they weren't expensive historically. They were very moderately priced and inexpensive. The extended bolster is supposed to give the knife strength. I don't know that there's any reality in that. That may just be smart advertising, or maybe there is something to it. But that was certainly the idea behind it. But to look at this model and think to yourself, could I see this 100 years ago or 125 years ago in a hardware store for 10 cents or whatever it was that they cost? And the idea behind it being that a man can buy it and put it in his pocket and carry it all day long, and any cutting task that comes up, he can fall back on this. Yeah, I can see that. I think this fits that bill pretty good. I was doing some research for this review, trying to figure out if there was anything to the name Yankee Barlow. I mean, that's what Great Eastern Cutlery decided to go with, and I thought, where does that come from? You know, and before this, there was the Washington Jacks and the Yankee Jacks. Or no, it was Washington Jacks and yeah, Yankee Jacks. Yankee Jacks was another one. I think that was an SFO. But where's all the Yankee stuff come from? I mean, that's what I was asking myself. And I was looking and I really wasn't finding anything until I looked into the John Russell Company. So the first American manufacturer to mass produce Barlows was a company called the John Russell Company. I think now they're the Russell Harrington Cutlery Company of Southbridge, Massachusetts. But back when they started, it was the John Russell Company, and they mass-produced Barlows in Greenfield, Massachusetts, and this was in 1875. Interestingly, looking at these, they had, on the bolster, they had an R with an arrow through it, right? So that's how you can identify a Russell Barlow. In looking into that company, there's a good amount of examples that I saw that aren't far off from how these look. Now, they also had other examples. They had, Barlows that look like this 78, two blades, clip point. They had larger clip points with easy opens. I mean, you'll see that kind of thing. I'm just saying, I did see examples of early John Russell Barlows that look like this. So maybe that's it. I mean, maybe that's where it comes from. Or maybe it's one of the other various companies out of New York that was producing pocket knives. There are quite a few of them. But I think the Great Eastern Cutlery did a good job with these. You can look here. I do see gaps in the bone, guys. Sorry. And then this is blinding. Let's look for gaps here. Yeah, we got some gaps in the bolsters. Doing what I can not to blind you guys and still show the gaps. So they're there. But let's look. Even that's blinding. I just put new batteries in this flashlight. It's making it a little bit aggressive. Anyway, I did see a little bit of gaps between the bone and the bolster. Just saying. Not that it's a big deal. If you want to, leave your hate in the comments below. But 77s, I thought they did a really good job with them. I don't carry them as much as I once did. If an 86 is a large, 77 would be a medium. So here's your comparison against an 86. 86 is a slightly larger knife. And a different shape of spear point, for that matter. I mean, that's another piece of this. This spear point is much thinner. The 86, I mean, it's a larger knife. I feel like it's got a different shape to it. Not as exaggerated as, say, an 85. 85 spear point is very exaggerated, but I do feel like one of the characteristics of a 77 is that that spear point is a little bit thin. Still, hard not to like them. The teardrop shape, the extended bolster. I think they did a really good job with everything with the blade, the cut swedge, the long pull. What do you guys think? Get down in the comments. Let me know. Did you have a 77? Have you always wanted a 77? Are you waiting for the next release like I was up until 2022? You know, they came out in 2018, but I completely missed them. So I was really waiting for the 77s to come back out, and that's why I picked up these two. Who else is in that boat now? Get down in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think. I'll see you on the next video.